I was influenced by Dre,
Roxanne Shante,
LL Cool J.
Ghetto Boys.
The first time I heard Biggie rap,
So that was exciting. You could feel how magical that was.
Hip-hop changed my life.
it wasn't respected like the other genres.
Never had a plan B. I'ma make this thing work.
We just did it for the love of the music.
When that make you feel the way hip-hop make you feel, that's the power of hip-hop. When did I fall in love with hip-hop?
Oh my goodness.
Fell in love with hip hop.
And I first fell in love
With hip-hop. Oh, man. How much time I got for that one?
30 seconds.
That's not enough time, man. Well, it was a little different with me. Day one, luckily I got older brothers, man, and I remember one day when my brother's friend brought over this record, and King Tim III rhyming, Fatback.
I first fell in love with hip-hop in 1977, going to a block party with my cousin and hearing the DJ, backspinning, Love Is the Message, and seeing a mic line form and cats getting on the microphone to rhyme. And
as a little kid, I'm kind of ear hustling. It's my brother's people, but, I'm sitting there, getting the blessings myself.
Girls in their little jelly shoes and halter tops getting in the middle of the street, dancing dumb hard. It was just a whole vibe for me.
To hear that, of course, I wanted to be a part of it.
Hip-hop started for me in my mom's living room, sitting at home, watching Hollywood Squares and seeing Nipsey Hussle speak his whole answers in rhyme form, doing it for the entire show. That would have been where hip-hop began for me.
Oh, wait, it's hard to say. Like, I'd have to say like the early 80s when I played Pop Warner football. All the neighborhood homeboys would be at our practice with everybody used to carry they big radios and banging music, and the music that they was listening to stuck in my head. And so I started liking what they was playing back then, like Grapevine through Roger and Zapp, and just like Grandmaster Flash and all the old school groups they was banging.
I fell in love with hip-hop the first time I probably looked at my dad's collection of equalizers, tape decks, vinyl record players, speakers. He had no idea what he was doing with them.
When I was about 4, that's when I remember falling in love with hip-hop.
Shout out to my mom, Bernadette Sullivan, I love you, you know what I'm saying? She always influenced us with the music. She always played all types of music around us when we was young.
It was definitely just my father always playing hip-hop. Just growing up in the Bronx, I was just always around hip-hop, That's definitely just embedded into me, since I was a kid.
And he had so many tapes, Ghetto Boys, Criss Cross, Snoop, Pac, and just hearing them play these things over and over again and break down to me what, some of the lyrics.
I feel like that played a major part in our experience, you know what I'm saying, to where we found music and we started making music and just make different types of stuff, you dig what I'm saying?
as a young kid growing up in the Callio projects. I had to be 5 years old.
When I first heard Run DMC,
King of Rock.
There is none higher. Sucker MCs should call me sire. To run my kingdom, you must choose fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire. Now we rock dark parties and come correct. All cuts are on time and rhymes connect.
I thought Run DMC was probably one of the dopest groups I ever heard of.
And remember my Adidas coming out and me begging my parents to get me some Adidas.
My Adidas walk through concert doors and roam all over Coliseum floors.
Every kid growing up wanted that Adidas, thought they were singing that song, My Adidas. I mean, that was my song as a kid growing up, and people don't know this, so I got shocked from my feet to my hand and listening to Run DMC music, jumping out the tub. Music almost took me out, but it also brought me up.
Well, my name is Roxanne. Don't you know I just a cold rock a party and I do this show. I said I'm a DC.
Roxanne Shante, who is by far, one of the most skilled MCs
and owning the space of battle rap was extremely important for women in hip hop.
Well, if someone's asked me, was I the first female rapper, I would absolutely, honestly, and truthfully say no. It wasn't me. Before me, there was Pebbly Pooh, Debbie D, Mercedes Ladies, Lady B, Sha Rock.
Sha Rock is the woman with the magical touch. I'm like burning fire. You know I'm just too much.
For me, Sha Rock would be that voice that I heard that made the impression on my life when I remember the first MC that really spoke to me. Maybe growing up, I might have heard it in the playgrounds when the DJ was on the turntable, but on the radio, Funky 4, like just certain songs you just knew and you heard her voice and it was just among the men.
We're masterminds, we hypnotize when we run down the ride.
Therefore, fly guys, I'm the best female. Telling the truth, not the fairy tale.
And she just sounded just as good and I was dancing to it. So she was everything. That's the first female I remember.
For me, female MCs, yeah, they all started before me. There were so many greats before me, and they all did a wonderful job. I think what made Roxanne Shante different was the fact that I was able to take the battle, put it on wax, and then I wasn't afraid to share the stage with anyone, you know, and mainly I had to share the stage with all of my hip-hop brothers.
For men to understand that we are more than worthy and that we can handle the responsibility of being on the front stage with the mic in our hands, and also that we're something to contend with. And that's what Roxanne Shante was able to prove.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with some of that funkish.
I was influenced by Dre. Fell in love with a lot of the music that was on his tapes from the Rhodium Swap Meet, like Count Cool Out. That's kind of like where my style came from. Cause he had like, I get down, I get down, I get down all the way. I rock to the rhythm of the double R rock, and this is what I say. And then if you look, this DJ, he gets down, mixing records while they go around. He did all of that. And then you see, it's kind of easy when you listen to the G'd up sound.
Pioneer speakers bumping as a pound. I got the sound for you.
Like that jingle, that singing melody came from me listening to him on one of Dre's Rhodium Swap Meet tapes.
As an R&B artist, hip-hop has definitely had an influence on my career. Being from Houston, listening to the Ghetto Boys, listening to UGK, there was something about their flow and the way, their cadence and all of that. And it had an influence on the way that, you know, I would sing my verses or the swag that I would have or the confidence. It was magical just hearing it, and I wanted that. I wanted a piece of that in any way possible.
Rap is likely to influence popular music for years to come. Not everyone can sing, but anyone can rap.
My first moment of hip-hop I remember is,
can't remember the year, but I was in the north side of Queens.
I say around 4 or 5 years old.
This was the days when there was block parties or jams in the street, and there was this dude that was running across the stage.
As soon as I heard it, I mean, as a matter of fact,
it would say a slick rhyme or whatever, and then go LL Cool J.
LL, I'm bad.
Quite like I can. I take a muscle-bound man and put his face in the sand. Not the last mafioso.
So when I saw LL doing I'm Bad, that looked like my uncles, you know what I mean? And I immediately kind of gravitated towards it.
And I was mesmerized by the way that he handled the crowd that day. From that point on, I was like, I don't know what he was doing, but it's something I want to do, so that was kind of the moment for me.
And as soon as I heard it, I was captivated, you know, just an amaze, because I was finally seeing people that looked like the people that lived around me. I was finally seeing them on TV.
That was the first time, a little church kid, I sneaked this cassette of LL Cool J, and I would rewind my radio every 4 bars so that I could learn the words. My radio, believe me, I like it loud.
I'm the man with the box that can rock the crowd. Walking down the street to the hardcore beat while my JVC vibrates the concrete.
He was just awesome to me.
When I think about Salt-N-Pepa, I think about how instrumental they were in fashion to disrupt what was going on at that moment because everything was really baggy, and then they came with fitted unitards.
That was unlike anything that we had ever seen in hip-hop before.
We're gonna be sexy, we're gonna own our sexuality, we're gonna produce our own records, and then we can spit too. That just was a total disruption, and I don't think they get enough attention.
Of course, I was listening to them before the Hot, Cool, and Vicious record, but I think that song, Push It, really changed the trajectory for their careers, as well as a huge opening for more females to come. It pushed the limits of sexuality within hip-hop. You know, if you ask any of the women that came in the 90s, they definitely were inspired by Salt-N-Pepa.
Welcome, guys, to the Angie Martinez Show. I am Angie Martinez, and this is my show.
There's so many amazing moments that I'm really proud to have been part of. When I'm starting out and I'm starting my career at the same time, Jay-Z and Mary J. Blige are running around New York starting their career. I had the luxury of interviewing artists like that at every point, almost the beginnings of their career. And so that was exciting because you could feel how magical that was, right? I get to talk to Nas and Jay-Z in the middle of that battle. That was crazy. I get to be at the helm of that battle on the radio. Crazy.
My saddest moment in hip-hop.
Man.
I also hate this question, but I'm gonna answer it for you. It's been a lot of them.
We've lost so many important people. And that's not to say that any person is less important that has lost their lives, but these are people that were key people within the hip-hop movement, and that certainly was Scott LaRock being one of the first, Trouble T-Roy. We were all out on tour, and it just was unbelievable that just playing on this ramp would end the way that it did. And then, of course, all of the other many people that we have lost, from DMX, Bismarck, Chucky Thompson, Guru. It's so many that, it's all very saddening.
Although he's recorded with Digital Underground and he's still with the group, he has his own solo album out called Tupacalypse now. His name is Tupac Shakur.
Saddest hip-hop moment was losing Tupac, for sure. Probably the last time I cried. I was living with my grandmother, and I was staying in the back room, and I remember my cousin Goldmouth came in the room. He's like, you heard what happened to your boy? He said, turn on the news. So we turned on the news, and when I heard he got shot, I was just like, he gonna be all right, because he got shot one time before, so we thinking he got 9 lives, and when he died,
life's a till you die, that's why we get high. Yo. Every brother in here, please take your hat off. At 7:03 p.m. New York time, 4:03 p.m. Las Vegas time, Tupac Shakur passed away, y'all.
I felt like I lost a brother, and that was by far my saddest moment in hip-hop.
If I can't live free, if I can't live with the same respect as the next man, I don't want to be here. Because God has cursed me to see what life should be like.
I'm the high guy from Bed-Stuy, putting the swelling on your eye. Your nose even, when I choke you, you stop breathing. When police come, I'm leaving. Peace and love.
I never forget the first time I even heard of Biggie.
Come on. Sicker than your average. Papa twist cabbage off instinct. Just don't think.
First time I heard Biggie rap, I think it was on Juicy and Hypnotized. And I was like 2-3 years old at the time. And my mom always tells me, memories of anytime Biggie songs came on, I would run to the TV and kind of just be all in it, just vibing out.
I remember where I was when Tupac died, but Tupac, he had gone through so much stuff, and it took a couple days for him. But for Biggie, it was just instantaneous. He was alive, and he was gone. And that one.
Under heavy police protection in New York today, fans lined the street for a funeral procession. It was for the rap artist who called himself the Notorious B.I.G.
I saw this whole life from the very beginning to the end, and people, and it was hip hop.
Rest in peace to B.I.G. One of the main reasons why I'm here today.
Last time that I checked, I was selling zones in the set. Make $250,000, no sweat. Last time that I checked, I'm the streets voice out west. Legendary self-made progress. Last time that I checked.
I think Nipsey passing was one of the saddest moments I've ever experienced in my life.
That hit me hard. Because just in conversation and just building with the brother, you could tell that something bigger was on his mind.
In my experience, you get the furthest being authentic. Even if your shit make people uncomfortable a little bit, I don't feel comfortable switching up. I feel more comfortable being uncomfortable.
He really wanted to dig in and stick it out with the community. Not take his talents and move somewhere else and get away from everything, but he literally wanted to stand on his neighborhood, stand and build in his neighborhood.
Just to watch him, transcend the LA gangbanging life and make it past so many obstacles, just to be, torn down by, somebody that couldn't even comprehend what he was doing, was just too much for me. It's intense. Nipsey's special because he's Nipsey. And he was us. He represented us very well.
Why you keep looking at me? I feel like got steady. With him hurt beat. It must be the patty pocket blue cheese. I'm in the kitchen wrist.
Takeoff was my favorite Migo. I used to tell everybody, I said, that's Takeoff's style. That's him. He's the guy. I thought he was the coolest dude, man, and didn't bother nobody. He would just do his ad-libs, come up and kill his rap, and go back to the back and just relax, just right in there. How much of this information do we need before we make a change? How much of this information do we need before, we really start to hold ourselves and our surroundings accountable? Yeah.
How has hip-hop
changed my life?
Changed my life. Hip-hop literally changed my life. And so many people and my peers that I know, people who probably may not even be with us right now, have been able to go on a whole different path in life, take care of themselves, take care of their families, employ others because of this wonderful thing called hip-hop.
Hip-hop has changed my life in many ways. The biggest way is it's giving me a voice. It's giving me the power to really amplify my presence and speak to people who I've never even seen before and deliver my message and change people's lives. And, change my life and my family's life and everybody around me.
Hip-hop has given me an opportunity to create. It's given me a voice. It's given me purpose. I started my path in hip-hop and fashion styling as a creative, styling, designing, doing custom work, not just as a fashion stylist and a designer, but also as an educator and a mentor.
Hip-hop changed my life in a huge way.
In more ways that I could articulate to you astronomically. Whether you know it or not, don't let the pretty face fool you. I was actually a monstrosity out here in these streets, you understand me? And hip-hop saved me because if it wasn't for that, I'd probably be in unspeakable scenarios and extremities that I don't like to even think about.
I was incarcerated at the age of 15 years old, sent to prison, violated the next day after I got out and went back to prison. When I was released from prison in '95, I slid with a record company called Slip and Slide Records, owned by Ted Touche Lucas, a record company that kept me out of prison and on the grind.
It allowed me to take my experiences that came from these underserved areas of society and use them as philosophical presentations set to music. And I monetized those philosophical presentations in such a way that it changed the course of living and the standard of living for myself and my family for forever. And if it did that for me, I'm sure it did it for a host of others.
I recorded 8 albums with Slip and Slide Records, several platinum albums, and I was able to feed my kids and my family and my friends, stay out of prison.
And the reason you should care is because now that our standard of living has changed, we no longer have to break in your houses.
Hip-hop has allowed me to not only be successful myself, but be a part of so many success stories. I never had a plan B. For me, it was like, I'm gonna make this thing work. If I don't know anything else, talk that I talk, it'll live on way beyond when I'm here.
Shout out to DJ Kool Herc and Grandmaster Flash for pioneering this whole thing. 50 years of hip-hop. It's important that we celebrate hip-hop because hip-hop is a cultural movement.
It's our thing. It's our gospel. You know what I'm saying? It's our tribal music. It's what we relate to as a people.
It's important that we celebrate hip-hop because nobody believed in us.
It wasn't respected like the other genres. If I felt that back then when I was a kid, I can imagine what people was telling them in the beginning.
This is before anybody was making any money. We just did it for the love of the music.
A lot of y'all probably don't even know, but remember it used to be back in the days, like, look at them kids doing them weird dances. Like you was an alien for breakdancing.
It was
graffiti.
noise.
Yeah, graffiti was frowned upon. Now you see graffiti on high-end designer bags and wolves and sneakers. So everything that's part of this culture,
everything through
hip-hop. It comes through hip-hop.
We need to celebrate hip-hop because hip-hop is something that you tried to shut out, and we kicked the door down, and now we're here to stay.
Hip-hop is against all odds, right? As are we, as a people. You know what I mean? We've been uprooted, displaced, abused, misused. And so from the jump, hip-hop has been categorized as criminal. It's thugs music. It's not music. It's garbage because that's the things that we've been categorized as.
Well, when it comes to rap music, people either like it or hate it. But some of those opposed to rap say there is more than just musical taste at stake.
They wanted it over. Come on, it's hours. They put an age limit on it. So you know they wanted it out of here real quick. They thought it was gonna be just some...
They put a demographic wall up and call it East Coast hip-hop and West Coast and this drill and this. They don't do that with no other genre of music.
Bono's 105. He's still touring. Come on, man. He's still touring.
You almost can't help but to celebrate hip-hop because it permeated every facet of life. You could hear the squarest news anchorman in any city, and every now and then, a hip-hop phrase will come out.
But let's say you want to travel somewhere cooler. How many ops you got? I mean, it's too many options. But it's going to feel hotter for several days. Wop, 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 wop. We get hit with the heat index.
You'll hear it in commercials. You'll hear it in the scripts of movies and TV shows.
Carmen? I was just down in the SPC kicking it with some G's on the west side.
Hip-hop celebrates everyone. Hip-hop is involved in everything. There is nothing that is sold, there is no story that is told without hip-hop being involved. And it's only right that we understand how important hip-hop is.
We dictate what's hot, we dictate what's good, and it's our sound, right? And it's our stories. It's probably the biggest genre of music right now, only because culture is so strong when it comes to black culture. So when you think about hip-hop, you think about all these people that came from these places that were less fortunate, that figured out a way to express their stories and their feelings and captivate the world. That's how I see it. This started somewhere in somebody's basement. And look at it now, it was everywhere. It was in every Super Bowl, it was in every playoff game, it's in everything that you can think of. It's around the world. You know, hip-hop tours go over to London and England and France and Tokyo, you know what I'm saying?
To be honest, we're the genre that runs the world. It's 50 years old. Even people who don't speak English love hip-hop. You can go to different countries and our thing has spread throughout the world, and now look at it. Gotta celebrate it.
I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. Hip-hop has been a very big influence to the culture back home, especially like the nightlife culture. I remember being young, going to a 50 Cent concert back in Lagos. I remember seeing Fat Joe in concert. I remember seeing Nas in concert.
It's the most ubiquitous form of communication on the planet Earth. There's not another language that is more widely used and spoken than hip-hop. To take all of that trauma that's oppressing them and compress it into a diamond. That pressure has created these beautiful gems to express joy. That's the power of hip-hop.
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 Hip-hop is...
It's a lot of things, but if I could sum it up,
hip-hop is everything.
Hip-hop is everything.
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 Hip-hop is the culture.
It's culture.
The culture.
Culture.
The culture.
Yeah, it's the culture. Hip-hop is the culture of putting poetry on a track, DJing, graffiti, breakdancing.
hip-hop is what we wear. Hip-hop is what we listen to. It's what our attitude is, how I respond to you, how I talk on the phone, how I walk out the house, how I come in the house.
All of that in one.
Please believe it.
Hip-hop is literally the lifestyle and the entire environment around us.
Hip-hop is a way of life. Hip-hop is a way of life, period.
Hip-hop is a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. From dressing to
style.
It's an attitude.
Yo, swag.
Confidence.
Hip-hop is its own musical religion. Bonds people from coast to coast, nation to nation.
How about that?
Hip-hop is my life.
Hip-hop is my life.
Hip-hop is my life.
Hip-hop has been my life, my whole entire life.
Hip-hop is my whole life. Hip-hop is what saved my life, and hip-hop is what helped pay my bills.
From MC Eddie D to Ed Lover to radio to books to television to movies, hip-hop is my life.
Hip-hop is necessary.
Hip-hop is the future.
Hip-hop is here now to stay, not going anywhere.
Hip-hop is one of the greatest genres of music to ever be on this earth, period.
Hip-hop is probably one of the greatest creations to mankind.
Hip-hop is the most beautifulest thing in this world.
Hip-hop is no limit for me. We have no limits.
To me, hip-hop is an expression.
I think it's an expression.
Hip-hop is love.
It's people sharing their stories in the most poetic way.
Don't let it make you feel the way hip-hop make you feel.
It's real, it's raw, it is honesty, it is braggadocious, it is flexing, it is telling stories, it is love, it is pain.
Hip-hop is an amazing gateway to meet people you never thought you'd meet before, to build a village you never thought you would have, to share your story with people that you never thought would be willing to listen.
Period. So I feel like hip-hop is a big part of life, and we need it.
It influences people to just have fun and be themselves. Child, what is hip-hop? Hip-hop is a breath of fresh air. Damn, I'm so deep.